better place with my own.
I've never interviewed you, although I mean personally, I've been following you and your exploits for a while. I think first with some skepticism, which I think you experienced a lot. But I think we were all sort of wondering what this girl was doing and where the hell's she going, and and then you went and sailed for 178 odd days around the world the wrong way, and were the first woman to do so. You then went on to sail the other way in the Vendée, and not only become the first person to do it, the first woman to do it both ways, but also get a very respectable result. I think of a surprisingly great result in sixth place. It had to feel good. But most of our audience knows you. I'm more wondering about this race. I think you're now a vet. I mean, you're a vet of this circuit. What does it feel like to be sort of, I guess, not the traditional solo ocean racing veteran?
Well, it's strange, and to hear it being called a vet is hard, because I feel as if I'm just on that crossover. I still feel like I'm learning every day,
right.
And I learn every time I go sailing. And when you sail in a fleet with the kind of experience that's going out in the Barcelona World Race, you just learn from everybody else as well. So I still feel like I'm very much at the beginning, at the bottom of the ladder, still working my way up the rungs.
Right.
But then in interviews it's been said, this is my fourth time around the world. Admittedly only the second time in the right direction. But I'm still smiling here the day before departure, just because this is the first time I've been in a position where I've known what to expect, and I know what's going to happen, and I know what the conditions are going to be like, and I know how my boat's going to react. So I'm actually really looking forward to going out there and sailing this time, and I haven't been in that position before. So I'm feeling more comfortable. I'm feeling more relaxed in the company of these other sailors, and more like I deserve my place here and I should be here. So I just hope I get a result that delivers that kind of promise as well.
Well, and I think that the sign of that person who's past that crossover is when you're not running around like a crazy person until the minute you cast off lines. You actually have time to go, I'd like to leave now. I'm ready to go already. Enough of the media, enough of the parties, enough of the ceremonies. I want to go sailing.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I mean, I've got a great team that has prepared the boat, and they were very confident to have the boat set up, and they've just been doing really small jobs since then, which gives me a lot of confidence. I'm really happy. We had our food on. We sailed with all our food and spares, so the boat was in a race setup just before we had to come into the race village. So we're really happy that we've got everything. And now it's a case of whether we've got our toothbrushes on board. So, we're both pretty relaxed. It was really important for me to get Anna in that position as well, because this is a real big deal for her. This is a massive opportunity. And this whole whirlwind of media, and the fact she's the local sailor with the only girls team, there's been a lot of media demands on her. And the last thing I wanted her was to be worried about the boat or the final preparation. Right. So I wanted her to be in a really good place, really relaxed. So she just had to concentrate on becoming famous and signing autographs, and it's been great to see her do that.
But she doesn't seem that relaxed.
I think the last few days it's starting to get a little bit more tense, and she wants to go. She wants 1 o'clock tomorrow to go so we can just go sailing, and life does become a lot easier at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Sure it does. And then it just gets easier and easier until you get to 45 degrees south.
Until we get cold, and then it gets cold and wet for a while, and then it starts to warm up again.
As someone who has, I think not necessarily by design, but someone who's been accumulating these pretty important records. What kind of advice can you give to Anna when she sees this interview in a few months' time on what to expect should she make it successfully around the world and become the first Spanish woman to do that?
Well, I mean, it's a great opportunity she's been given, and she's really aware of that. And what's really nice is where she's worried, like beyond Brazil and beyond 28 days on the boat, life is new to her. So she has no idea really what to expect. But her confidence, I'm trying to ooze confidence to allow her to see that things are going to be okay and things are going to be fine. And she actually has, well, I'm okay, I'm with Dee, so it'll be fine, which is really nice. Massive responsibility for me. But hopefully when she sees the big waves and it is really cold and windy and scary and her eyes are on stalks, I can give her that look that allows her to go, okay, this is what it's meant to be like, and we can relax and be calm and get her to enjoy it. Because I spent a good week to 10 days scared stiff in the Indian Ocean when I first turned that corner in the Vendée Globe, and because I know how I reacted, I'm really prepared for Anna to have that, is this what we've got to live in for a month? And I want her to get through that a little quicker than I did, so she can start to enjoy it a bit more.
Well, and you've you've talked about your fear quite a bit, and you've been really open about it. You haven't been like a lot of the men, obviously, don't ever want to admit it, and a lot of them are pretty fearless. But you've been pretty open that it's been harder for you to put the throttle down. It's been harder for you to sort of break out. And do you think that that's something that you're conquering? Do you think that's something that having a dinghy sailor aboard will help you with? Do you think? Where do you stand with that?
Well, it's definitely something that I'm really moving through, and I think after the Vendée doing the Round Britain record with the girls on board, and then again the TJV with Brian, got me used to sailing the boat at speed and sailing it at 90 to 100% rather than my more cautious 80% where I was scared of everything all the time. So I think I'm looking to show that I've moved that next step. And as far as tactical boat on boat stuff and looking for ultimate boat speed, especially in these light conditions that are forecast at the beginning, I think Anna's experience from having one design boat sat next to each other will be really good, and she's really focused on stuff like that. So that's probably where I can learn from her and get the strength in that side of things. But yeah, I'm looking forward to sailing my boat hard, because that's what I've learned it's all about. But I learned the wrong way. I spent months going uphill, battling into waves and wind. So It took me a while to learn what to do, and now I've actually I'm going the right way. I'm going to go fast.
Well, yeah, and your life really wasn't so much about throttling down when you were going the wrong way, because you just were crashing through everything. And this it's going 25 knots that things can go really badly, right?
That's the thing. I mean, it's getting used to, actually the boat loves it at surfing at those speeds, and that's what it's designed to do. But it's in the back of your mind knowing that when it goes wrong, it goes really wrong. Right. And it's just being prepared for that and being really organised and actually letting the boat do what it's designed to do. And now I'm much more comfortable with that. So hopefully I can let that happen a lot more.
It puts a grin on your face. I know that. I've seen some pictures from the Round Britain with some big grins on your face. So.
It was lovely. I think ultimately that was the best sailing I've done. With the girls on board, we just had 6 days of a complete blast, really pushing. And the fact that we got the record at the end of it was the bonus. But it really taught me that actually you can sail the boat and relax and enjoy it that hard. And I think then I just consolidated that on the TJV with Brian Thompson. So now I'm looking to be that person giving the confidence to the co-skipper this time. So it's a different role for me, but I think it's a good one to be in to make me step up and mark, because I'm obviously looking for the Vendée Globe 2012.
Well, and you're also doing something that we see the successful French skippers do so well, that started with Tabarly, which is you're mentoring. And I think you're mentoring another woman, which is really important. Ellen did what she did and brought so much visibility to women in ocean racing, and Samantha and Emma and all these girls, British girls that have sort of followed in those footsteps. But you don't see them out there so much trying to bring somebody to the next level. Ellen's completely out of it. Sam's working on her own thing, and you're doing it, and that sort of rolls into a question that Mare and I were talking about, because Mare's at the point where she doesn't want to come with me and cover any events that don't have women in them. Okay, it's like a little boycott thing. She won't come. She won't do cup stuff. She won't do, and I get it, and I'm starting to come around to it. I don't even want to. It seems to me to be wrong, but that pipeline that sort of, it seems like it's gotten a start and stop and start and stop, that English women sailing pipeline, is it still rolling? Is there an infrastructure in existence, whether it's sponsor acceptance or someone who's out there finding women who are good at this? And it doesn't have to be just in England, but is that infrastructure in place to help continue to push women into solo sailing or shorthanded sailing?
I think that's where we struggle, because there is no structure, there is no encouragement apart from those of us that are doing it. And fantastic, Ellen really laid that pathway for us to follow in her footsteps. And I'm still taking a massive inspiration from Sam. It's up to me I want to do us both proud out there on the Barcelona World.
You're carrying the torch.
Yeah, and to be able to have somebody else, new blood into the class, doing something as big as this along the way is really good. And hopefully we're now going to together encourage other girls to look at the sport differently and maybe take on a challenge and follow in our footsteps. But there's no structure, so it is a slow burning process, and as you say, sometimes there's a lot of us around, sometimes there's hardly any of us around, so
you would
it really
think
is
that
important.
With, as good as the RYA is at marketing and sort of PR and publicity and doing what they do, you'd think that they would seize the opportunity that you guys have created by creating some kind of a squad, that would help to develop that. Has anyone talked to you about that? Is it something you'd be interested in being part of?
Yeah, I love being an ambassador for the girls, being that inspiration or that character that encourages people to give it a go and give it a try. But it's only every 4 years when the Olympics comes around and we're good at those medals and we get in the medal table and the girls are showing performances as good as the boys that they really get acknowledged. And then fortunately Sam and I were both offshore in the Vendée Globe and finished doing a really good job that kind of gave us that extra profile in the offshore sailing. So we're still the minority and we still got to work at it, but hopefully, I'll keep championing the cause and do a good job.
Doing it. And remember that I think what we found, at least in the States, obviously it's a bit different where you are, but the people that are interested in the Olympics and that sort of pay attention to it don't often care that much about more adventure type racing. It's a different mentality, and by contrast, people that are into this and the challenge of being against the sea don't really give a shit about racing around the buoys, So it's a different group, and you can get exposure for women in the sport that the Olympics never could, no matter how many medals they win,
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with our sport, where we look too confusing to the outside world to understand it because we've got so many different disciplines.
Right.
But that's also what makes it really attractive, that we can appeal to so many more people, because it's not just winning or losing, it's the emotional and the passionate journey and the adventure and the trials and tribulations over intense period of 3 months at sea alone on the ocean. So there's all these different options in sailing that hopefully will appeal to everybody out there, that will encourage more people into the sport.
All right, I'm not going to ask you what you're going to miss most, because everyone knows it's food and sex, even though if you guys don't answer that. I will ask you, as far as the team and as far as the boat, when we set off to sea, there's always some little sort of thing in the back of our head that we're a little worried about. What are you worried about?
I think for me it's the showstopper, something that's beyond your control. If you get dismasted or you get a keel problem, something that's going to stop your race that is beyond your control, that's a killer. And if we end up in that situation, heaven forbid, I really hope that up until that point I've given it 110% and showed that I've delivered on what I tried to do and pushed my boat and was competitive. But touch wood, I got a well prepared boat, great team, I've got the right stuff on board that I'm going to overcome anything that's put in my way, and I'll get to the finish line.
Is Aviva is Aviva committed to stay with you for this and for afterwards, or what's your sponsorship situation going forward?
Well, the current situation I'm in for this is Aviva own the boat, and they've given us permission to use the boat along with Gaius as the title sponsor.
Right.
So we've got a really good combination for this. That project ends at the end of the race.
Okay.
And Aviva owning the boat have given me till the end of June to find sponsorship. So the race is really on, not only around the world, but to find sponsorship to keep it going. So
right.
My fingers are crossed.
Check her out, dcaffari.com, and great luck. Have a great time. Seriously.
Thank you.
We'll all be watching. All right.
I'm pleased. Now I've gone up the ranks in sailing anarchy. Let me put in a performance to warrant it.
All right. Have a great time.
Cheers. Thank you.
Two hands make a kind of play.